Okay, hello everyone. Hello. We got cut off. I did something. I cut us off, but that's good. You know why? Because now I actually have a real topic for this video. Am I on? My interestingly, oh, my lighting was down. Okay, now it's up. Now I can actually see. So I'm gonna, meanwhile, while people are jumping on, I am going to pull up my Excel sheet. Let me see. Sheets.google.com. It would be so much, I keep saying I'm going to do it. I'm going to just do it at some point. I got to figure out how to show my screen on YouTube. Okay, let me go to that sheet. It's all the way at the end. Hang on a second. Oh no, where's my sheet? I opened a new sheet. Oh goodness. I need to, at this point, I need to do like a table of contents because I have so many sheets. Okay, here we go. So we were on, where'd we leave off? Oh yeah, Vietnam. So I cheated on that one. So they do use chopsticks in Vietnam, but I was looking at the etiquette. I was looking at the etiquette. I lost the page because the thing froze. I clicked something. I closed my whole internet page. So let me see, which countries, let me see if I can find that same blog that I was on. Countries use chopsticks. Let's see if I could find that same blog. Oh no. Oh no, I lost the page with all the etiquette. Oh, maybe I could look in the search history or the history. Let me see here. History. Malaysia. Oh, guys, I can't find recently closed. How many islands are there in Indonesia? Oh, guys, I lost that sheet. How could I find it? I'm looking in the history. I'm trying to find that blog that was telling us about the etiquette. I'll have to look up another one. Because I was on the one where it said, and there were a few others that was very interesting, where they say to put your 2 chopsticks on the rice bowl. But I lost that. Oh, guys, I'm such a jackrabbit. Chopstick customs, manners, and etiquette. Okay. Which Asian countries use chopsticks? You'd think I'd get the same. You'd think I'd get the same results. Are chopsticks the same? Why do Asians eat with chop? And which countries besides China and Japan? Yeah, there's like all this information on here. But all right, I'll say etiquette, table etiquette in Vietnam. I guess I'll have to just. I really like the one I was on, but I can't find it again. I mean, I'll look one more time. You'd think it would be in the history. Okay, the history. I might go here. Favorites, blah, blah. History, right? It should be in the history. History. Okay. Which Asian? Then I have the Excel, YouTube, Vietnamese chops. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I think that's it. Please let it be. Oh, good. I found the page. All right. Let's see if anyone's hopped back on here. Nobody's. Oh, one person. Okay. Is that you loves lattes? If not, you'll see the excuse me. You'll see this video. Okay. I got cut off, but now we're going to be looking at the etiquette in Vietnam. All right. So I was on. Oh, yeah. Do not place the sticks in the form of a letter V after being full. Place them on top of the rice. Okay, and there's a reason for that, which I explained before I got cut off. Okay, this next one. Do not put the chopsticks sticking upright from your bowl of rice. Use the chopstick holder. Yeah, there's usually like a little beautiful ceramic I've seen. The first time I saw that was when I ate at a Japanese place. So there's a little thing that when you're not using the chopsticks, you put them on a little square thing on the side. You don't leave them sticking inside the rice bowl. But we do that when we eat carry out, Chinese food, whatever kind of food. I mean, I guess that's natural. If you are eating with chopsticks, you're eating out of the Chinese carry out thing. And you might, I guess if you're going to be polite with carry out, you serve from the carry out box into a bowl or something. But when I eat the carry out, I just eat with a fork right outside of the box. So yeah, in these casual situations, people probably do just leave the chopsticks sticking out as they eat. But in a regular situation where you're at a table and all, you don't leave your chopsticks sticking up out of the rice. You put it on the side. Okay, I wouldn't know the reason for that other than it does look a little more elegant. Do not pick up food from the communal dishes and place into your mouth directly. Oh, of course. In America, too. I mean, at home with family, we're not supposed to. My mother would always scold us. But I said, well, it's not that I only did it once when the fork, you rationalize it. Well, the fork wasn't in my mouth. I just put it in there and ate, and you don't put it back. So, but still, you shouldn't. You serve in your plate, and then that one makes sense. Do not refuse food that your Vietnamese host is picking and putting on your plate. Because this would be a sign of disrespect. And then you're forced to eat it too. That's kind of hard. See, yeah, an American would say, oh, no, thank you. Because we don't want to waste food. And if it's something we really don't want or can't eat or don't want to eat, maybe we have an allergy, maybe who knows? We have a religious belief like pork. Some people, because of their religion, don't eat pork. And if you go to a dinner and whatever, so, that's that's how they believe, and that's fine. But I'm assuming if they put it on your plate, they're going to expect you to eat it as well, because it would be rude not to eat it. That part's a little bit, I don't agree with it. If I'm in that situation, I now know, and I will follow the etiquette of whatever country I'm in, but I'm prepared. So anytime you're going to travel, make sure you do read, because you could be in a situation where, you don't want to offend anyone. But yeah, you're allergic to peanuts and you could die. Oh, no, thank you. Oh, I don't want to be rude. I better eat it. Let's be realistic. So, but yes, learn all this before you go. So now you know to avoid that situation somehow, or tell the host ahead of time, if you can. Look, it's not that I want to appear rude at the table, but at the dinner, peanuts could kill me, and that would be worse for you than me being rude. So maybe the host will know and not offer you, you know what I mean, or not give you. So, okay, but the etiquette is do not refuse food that your Vietnamese host is picking and putting on your plate, because that would be a sign of disrespect. Do not hold or use the chopsticks as toothpicks. Well, they don't even work as toothpicks. They're too big. But yeah, some Americans do use the straw, like when we're eating and if we have a straw, and we do use toothpicks at the table. I personally don't think you should. I think you should, get up, excuse me, maybe go to the bathroom or anywhere else and floss, if you really need to. But yeah, Americans do, even considered politely, go with a toothpick and kind of go like this. That would be the most polite. And the most impolite way to use that would be like they've got a straw, and you'll see people at the table like shoving the straw. That is kind of rude here too. So but we know it's rude, I think. So I'm hoping an American abroad would know not to take a chopstick and try to dig out. But yeah, that makes sense. That one, I agree. Do not use the chopsticks as toothpicks or hold them in your mouth when doing something else. Yeah, yeah. Don't be like, you've got the chopsticks, let's say, and I want to get that out. You don't do that either. The chopstick, put them on the rest, to the little rest. Do not use your chopsticks to pick rice from the bowl and eat. Oh, raise the bowl to your mouth. I knew this actually, and push the rice to your mouth with the sticks. Okay, see, an American would consider that rude, but in Vietnam, and I believe in China, that's considered polite. Let's pretend this is the bowl. It would be a little smaller. So I've seen that they take the two chopsticks and just kind of shove it in their mouth like that, rather than picking it up and bringing it to your mouth, the rice. Now, sushi, that's Japan. You leave the plate there and you get the sushi and bring it to your mouth. I think that's how I've done it. I've done it with my hands and eaten the sushi like this. I've never been to Japan. Excuse me, I'm going to go clear my throat. It's going to be very loud. I'm coming. I'm right here. I hate to leave a blank spot. And now, do not dip your chopsticks in the shared soup bowl, but use the reverse ends of your sticks to pick food from shared dishes if no communal utensils are provided. That makes perfect sense. If there are no communal utensils for whatever reason, and you have your chopsticks, I wish I had some. Pretend these are the two chopsticks. Okay, you want to serve yourself more. You don't go, I don't know why they said soup. Do not dip your chopsticks in the shared soup bowl. I think that's again, it's not a Native American, not a Native English speaker. They probably mean a shared communal bowl, as they're calling it. So you want more food and you don't go in and serve yourself with the same chopsticks that were just in your mouth. So they say, okay, flip them over and use the part that has not touched your mouth, and, serve yourself with the opposite side. And then when you eat again, flip them back over. That makes perfect sense. You never want anything that's been in your mouth touching anything. That's just common sense in any part of the world, I think. Anything that's been in your mouth, do not touch any food that someone else might, and people do that sometimes. It's not ordinarily in nicer situations, but in a more elegant. But yeah, people can be very, and they can be careless or, anyway, let's not get into that. Anyway, so we went off on a tangent about this. So I wanted to find out then. So in Vietnam, they use chopsticks. So that's a yes. That was the main thing I was trying to get at. So because Vietnam is close to, I got to open the maps. Anyone there yet? I use chopsticks a lot, even for Canadian food. A few people have come by and marveled at that. So I've given them a parent only. Oh, great. Yeah, I kind of learned to use them, sort of, but the food has to be big and sticky. I can't use it on, unless now I know they allow us to go like this, so then I can. But yeah, it takes practice. But I'll give you a story later how I did learn to use chopsticks a little bit better. I learned from a Japanese lady who explained something. She explained a trick that I'd never thought of, which I'll tell you, but I don't want to get off on a tangent. So maps.google, I'm going to go to the map because Asia. Like I said, if one country has certain customs, more often than not, the country next to it will have similar customs. Even if they're at war, like I said, they'll have similar customs as far as, etiquette and food and things like that. So we decided that Vietnam, yes. So, see, I thought it was Thailand that did not, and that's right next to Vietnam. I'm going to say Malaysia does not. I don't even know if that's considered. So Malaysia, I'm going to say no. Why do I think Thailand doesn't? It was the other day, somebody told me, and I realized that the country doesn't use chopsticks, and I don't remember which country it was, but for some reason, I'm thinking it was Thailand. I'm trying to remember the conversation. Let me look at the map again. Maybe just let me look at the names. It has to have been Thailand. Oh, it might have been Laos. Wait, is Laos a country? Or is Laos in a country? Is Laos a country? Yes. Oh, Laos is a country. Lao People's Democratic Republic. Laos. Laos is a country. I didn't see that. Where's Laos? It must be a teeny country. I'll have to Google that. I'm going to have to use the search. Laos. Oh, I'll give you a link to my Excel sheet. Well, I'll do it after I finish because I would have to then tell you where it's located. I'm going to finish what I'm going to do after I'm done here. I am going to go over to Twitch, and there on Twitch, you can see my screen, and you're welcome to follow me over there. And I'm going to finish the table of contents because my Excel sheet is getting too big. And now to find the sheet you're looking for, it's like forever. So our first sheet is a table of contents. So you can just click and it'll flip to the sheet you want it to. So that's a different thing, but I'll do that later. So Laos on Google Map. Where is it? Vietnam, Cambodia. I thought it would be near. I thought Laos would be near Vietnam. This is very fascinating. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's right there. What's Hanoi is in Vietnam. Okay. Laos. Okay, I for some reason completely skipped over Laos. And was Laos used to be a part of Vietnam? It's all a big jumble for me, but I'd like to get it sorted out so I know more about the world we live in. Okay, so Laos is a country. Let me just go back to Asia in general map. Asia. Yeah, I guess you gotta, okay, there we go. All right, so we got all of them. We have the Philippines. I'm gonna say the Philippines does not use chopsticks for some reason. There's so much influence from other cultures that I have a feeling they don't use chopsticks. So Philippines, I'm gonna say no. I might be wrong. Or maybe some people do, but it's not the general use, and then we should figure out the original Filipinos. If the original, because like I said, then there were all these people moving in, and I guess it was a territory. I think now the Philippines maybe is a territory of some, I don't know. So just my intuition tells me that now it's not a common thing, but it could be that it was once. So I'll look into that later. I'll say Philippines, no. And I'll say next to it, just to remind myself, historically, maybe yes. Let me do another column. 1 second, here we go. Yeah, you guys, it would be more interesting for you if you could see what I'm doing on my sheet. But okay, historically, we don't know. So we'll look at that later. What country are we on now? So Cambodia, I put yes. China, if you want, you can write your own list somewhere or do a sheet and we'll compete. So I'll go down the list and next to the country, you put yes or no. So I'm saying whether or not they use chopsticks in that country. So for Cambodia, I put yes. China, yes. Hong Kong, yes. Completely guessing sometimes. So if I'm wrong, put your list and see which one of us got it right. So I'll start over. Cambodia, yes. China, yes. Hong Kong, yes. Japan, yes. Malaysia, no. Mongolia, yes. I'm on Myanmar, which I haven't decided. Let's do Myanmar. Myanmar, I want to see on the map. There it is. It's next to Thailand. It's by Bangladesh, India. I'm going to say no. Myanmar, I'm going to say no. Just guessing. North Korea, South Korea. I don't know if Korea uses chopsticks either. Any case, but let me look at the map and try to guess. Because it's next. Well, you know what? I'm going to say yes for both of them because it's between China and Japan. So since it's in between, most likely they also do. So I'm going to say yes for both North and South Korea. Yes. North Korea. I knew a Korean girl in college, but she was American. She's American with Korean, a Korean American, but, spoke perfect English with an American accent. I mean, I think she was born here. But I mean, I'm trying to think if I ever discussed anything with her about that, but I don't think I ever did. Yeah, so, okay, all we have left are Singapore, Thailand, and Laos. Okay, Singapore, let's do them. Singapore, where was that located again? Where's Singapore? Right, let me go back in here. And when you make the map too small, you can't see it. So let me search it quick again. Singapore. There it is. Over by, look at all these islands. Wait, Singapore. It's down. Okay, it's on the bottom of Malaysia. Okay, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Singapore, no. Now we have Thailand and Laos left. Now, if Vietnam uses them, then I'm going to quick guess that Laos does too. Although Laos is a big country. Maybe half of it. I was surprised. I'd heard of Laos. I never really paid attention. Let me see here. Vietnam. Okay, Vietnam does. Did I say Cambodia does? I said Cambodia does, my guess. Then Laos is further up next to Thailand. And did I say Thailand? Yes. Oh yeah, I'm stuck with Thailand and Laos. Stuck. I mean, all I have left is Thailand. So let me look at the chat. Oh, you run out. I have something drop you. Okay, fine. I know people have lives. So, but a fork or spoon. Yeah, I know. I don't understand why in 22 any country uses anything but a fork or spoon. Yeah, it seems because it's so, the culture, they just get used to it. Just like maybe the Asians think it's so useless to use a knife. Why don't they, they believe what they believe, and their cultures become how they become from history. I know why some countries don't use knives at the table because there were wars. And I mean, again, I couldn't tell you which countries, which this, which that, but having a knife at the table for some countries, especially the ones that had serious wars, the belief was no, for safety, we should never have a knife at a table. So then it became part of the culture, probably way back in the days before anybody, even remembers. Having a knife at the table was considered a danger, and, just like keeping your hands on the table is considered, they call it polite, but maybe it's because in the Wild West or whenever. My thing keeps going. Okay. Having your hands not in view was a danger. So just so everybody was, safe. So it could have something to do with that. Maybe the chopsticks were considered, who knows? But yeah, chopsticks to me, as an American who grew up here, of a culture that never uses chopstick, yeah, to me it's so clunky and uncomfortable. But I understand the historical and cultural aspect. But with years and years of progress and innovation, it seems silly to exactly you update, right? So yeah, that's how I think too. But I mean, I don't think it's right or wrong, but yeah, like you said, it seems kind of like, why would they still do that? But so I'm just gonna say no to the two that are left. I'm gonna say Thailand, no. If anyone is new, I'm just guessing without knowing much about anything, which countries in Asia use chopsticks and which don't. And now we're gonna check to see if I was right. So, all right, so here are my guesses. And you all maybe did your own list with your guesses, and we'll see who got it right. All right, so I'll go down my list. 1 second, I gotta make the list pretty. I'm gonna go on Twitch after I finish this live. I'll give you guys the link if you want to go over to Twitch. Some people don't use Twitch, and I'm gonna update my Excel sheet with all the. So let's see. Oh, and by the way, welcome. I think I've never spoken with you before, Ashley ASMR. Like I've never spoken with you directly. Maybe I've watched a few of your. So, 3 viewers, yay. Okay, so we're going down my list of guesses, and then I will correct them when I'm wrong. So I said Cambodia, whether or not they use chopsticks, yes or no. So Cambodia, yes. China, yes. Hong Kong, yes. Japan, yes. Malaysia, no. Mongolia, yes. Myanmar, no. Nepal, no. North Korea, yes. Philippines, no-ish. I'm not sure. Singapore, no. But I put no for Philippines. Singapore, no. South Korea, yes. Taiwan, yes. Thailand, no. Vietnam, yes. Laos, I put no. Okay, those are my guesses. Now, I'm just going to Google which Asian countries use chopsticks. There must be a list somewhere. Which Asian countries use chopsticks? Okay, there's Wikipedia, which is not bad, but I don't follow Wikipedia as much as I used to. Maybe for something like this, because Wikipedia is normal people updating the information. So we all have access. It's shared, access. So we can put whatever we want on there. I mean, it has to have a reference, and we're supposed to fact check, and other fact checkers come in. We're all independent fact checkers. We all are. So whatever I put, someone come in and correct it. So Wikipedia, I'm not going to use as a reference. Oh, and look, there's even some countries that only use wooden and some that use metal, but I'll get to that later. Are chopsticks all the same in all Asian countries? One size did not fit all. How some Asian cultures use chopsticks. Etiquette. Okay. I just want to know, do they use them or don't? I just want a simple. Okay. In which countries? Oh, that's Quora. Quora is also just people, and it's clunky to use Quora. It might be good information. It's all people like us giving our information, but you got to read through the threads, and it's more of a forum, which can be very informative if you feel like. But I want like a quick, do they use them or don't they? I might have to go country by country. Oops. Oh, my other little YouTube, I should delete that one. It came up. Do all Asian, okay, it's Quora again. Which countries use chopsticks? Let's see. Oh, it's another one of those forums. Okay, I'm going to have to go to, first of all, you guys, I'm going to go to my YouTube and delete the earlier, that one's on. Which Asian countries use chopsticks? That one's on. But I want to go to my channel, my videos. Oh, okay, that's the one that's live now. Okay, good. Fine. No problem there. Let's close that. Which Asian countries use Chopsticks. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go. I really don't want to use Wikipedia, but it's the only one that's, I'll have to double check. I'm gonna go by Wikipedia, but remember, Wikipedia may have a couple wrong because we don't know who's putting in the information. I'm assuming no one would purposely put the wrong information on this topic so chopsticks, I'm getting it from Wikipedia. Styles of chopsticks, there's different styles. It's not just a simple yes or no answer. I might have to go, you know what, I'm going to start going country by country and just say, does Cambodia use chopsticks? I know it's clunkier, but do they use chopsticks in Cambodia? Cambodian table manners. Chopstick. Oh, that's Wikipedia. I announced Cambodia's Oh, look at this. Okay, here is a blogger. It's just a person that visited and gives his look. Julia looks like a woman. Okay. A week after traveling Cambodia and trying every Cambodian dish we found except fertilized boiled eggs, we could not bring ourselves to eat duck embryo in an eggshell. Okay, yeah, they have. I'm not interested in that part. Okay, I see some chopsticks in her pictures, but she did say in one part, Victor and I were certainly eating everything with chopsticks. In fact, we were at this time question materialized sitting at a small table with plastic chairs being served rice and beef. We looked around. No one was eating their food with chopsticks. Not a single Cambodian person. Slowly, we put our chopsticks down and covered them with napkins. Victor casually picked up a fork and proceeded to stab a piece of beef and lift it to his mouth. Stop, I whispered. No one is eating with forks. No one, in fact, was eating their rice and beef with forks. Everyone was eating with a spoon. That's interesting. You mentioned that. Let me get your name again. Ashley ASMR. So in Cambodia, everybody was eating their beef and rice with a spoon. So, maybe the Cambodians have a different, but let's see. That's her blogger, but there's got to be more to the story than that. I'm Googling this, I announced, and in a few minutes, read out loud, Cambodians generally eat with a spoon and fork unless there's a bowl of soup in front of them, in which case it's a spoon and chopsticks. I guess, So they use a spoon and they push with chopsticks. So it's impolite to put the fork into your mouth. Instead, use it to push food onto a spoon held in your right hand. For soup, use chopsticks to pick out the meat and noodles, and the spoon for liquid elements. How we haven't noticed this in an entire week of eating 3 square meals a day. They hadn't noticed. Okay, so okay, so it's not a yes or no answer. Maybe in some countries the chopsticks phased out or were phased in, So it's not a yes or no. So it's going to be a sometimes for Cambodia, according to this blog, which I'm assuming is accurate because they traveled there and all. It's not an official professional resource. So you see, you have to pick your sources and decide if they're good sources or not. But generally, if you'd like the link of anything I'm reading, I'm not going to put them, but if you request it, I will. Like if you'd like a link to this one, the name is www.2catsbackpack.com. It's, I guess, a couple of people who travel around the world and give their experiences. And so here we were shoveling rice into our mouths by tablespoons as dictated by best Cambodian table manners. I then accidentally turned an entire cup of coffee onto myself. I am confident Confucius would have had no problem with this. Okay, so Cambodia is according to this one, I'll look at another blog or two. Maybe, do people use chopsticks in Cambodia? Answers. This is an October 12, 2016 forum. People used chopsticks because they were easy and cheap. Wait a minute. You see, I hate these forum answers because it doesn't make sense. Sometimes makes sense. Which countries use chopsticks? Okay, citydata.com, it's called. Oh, another one of those forums. Jakarta's usually eat noodle, like Jakarta, Indonesia usually eats noodles with chopsticks. But yeah, I don't like these forums. I like it. Blogs are good. Blogs, or if they could just give me a list. But okay, a full guide to Cambodian etiquette. All right. Yeah. So apparently this person's saying something similar. They say, in case you come from the Western world and plan to visit Cambodia, there will be quite a lot of do's and don'ts you need to remember. To make matters worse, the World Wide Web offers tons of information, but not all of them are trustworthy. That's what I was mentioning. That's why you should resolve to put your trust in our local agents like us. Yeah, these are local agents to Cambodia, apparently. So, okay. Today, Travel Sense Asia will give you the accurate etiquettes of the Cambodian. Sounds like a non-native American, non-native English speaker, which actually makes me more confident because they're from the place, So take a pen and paper and note down the following things to perfect your Cambodian expedition. See the words they use, but it's nice. They're using words that make complete sense, but they're a little more, what's the word? Enriched. The Cambodian greeting is called Sumpas. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Table manners of the Cambodian people. See, if it were a Native American, Native English speaker, they say the table manners of the Cambodians or the Cambodian people. So good. You know what? It gives me more confidence that the information is accurate because it's from a person that is from the area. So dining etiquette at the Cambodian table is quite formal. If you're not sure about what I'm going to correct the English as I speak. If you're not sure about what you should or should not do at the table, the easiest way is to follow the people nearby. Yeah, watch the people around you, like the other couple did. When invited to attend any meal, wait until you are seated to avoid breaking the rules of order. I'm not sure what they mean by that. Usually the oldest is the one who has a seat at the table first. Likewise, the elderly is the person who will start eating first. Okay, that was the same as in a previous one we looked at. The dining utensils in Cambodia meal are forks and spoons. Okay, so the answer is, for the most part, no, or occasionally would be the answer for Cambodia. The proper way to serve yourself is to skew your food with a fork. I guess skewer. Place it on a spoon. I guess take it off the fork and enjoy. We could watch YouTube videos of Cambodians eating. Well, if we were on Twitch, see? I've got to figure out how to. I keep saying that and I don't do it because now I want to show you guys what I'm looking at. But okay, as you can see, the Cambodian don't use forks and chopsticks directly. This is due to the fact that most of the food are shared, is what it says here. So they don't want to see you put a fork in your mouth and pick Oh, okay. All right. That's the way they do it. So there's a communal dish, as they call it. You skewer the meat, but you don't put it in your mouth. You got to keep the fork out of your mouth because that's your serving fork. They don't have a serving utensil in the food like we usually do. So the food is there. You have to take your fork and serve your food to yourself with your fork, but put it on the spoon so that you don't put the fork in your mouth and then leave it where. Okay, so I understand why they do that. But they do use chopsticks. So they don't want to see you put a fork in your mouth and pick a slice of meat with more, Do not stick your chopsticks vertically into your rice bowl. It's a sign of bad luck, which resembles the incense sticks burned in honor of the dead. Okay, these are all beliefs that get passed on. All right, so for the most part, just to keep it short, I'm fascinated. Now I want to read more, but I'm going to keep this short. And if you're interested, then you can look up more information. So Cambodia would be, I was wrong. I said yes. And okay, I was barely right. So I'm going to say in limited circumstances, in limited situation. I'll just leave it at that. I want to put just a word. Sometimes, but even sometimes is not the right explanation. It's because sometimes for certain situations. In some situations. In some, I'll just put it like that. In some situations. In limited situations, really, but okay. So now China, I'll look it up, but we know that China uses chopsticks. Everyone's eating Chinese food in America. So do they use chopsticks? Oh, it's Wi-Fi slow. Yes, China uses disposable chopsticks. This is medium.com, which is people like us writing articles, which is fine, as long as the sources are accurate, it doesn't matter. Chopsticks do's and don'ts. Yeah. Okay. Yes, for the most part. And there may be circumstances where they don't. I believe to drink soup, they use the spoon, and the meat is small enough that they just drink the soup. I don't think they use chopsticks for soup. 1 second. I haven't eaten my waffle. Okay. Got another piece of waffle. Okay, the next one, Hong Kong. Is anyone interested? Oh, you're still here. Okay. I've been on for 40 minutes already. It's going to take a long time. I'm going to try to go through the list quick. Because I've got to do something. Okay. Hong Kong. Do they use chopsticks in Hong Kong? Oh, I corrected the one for Cambodia. But I'm going to put next to it an X to remind myself that I wasn't quite right. So I'll put an X there. Oops. Was I right? But see, then you can have access. I'll put the link to this Google Sheet. Because then you can, like for fun, delete all the answers. You download it and you do whatever you want with it. So you can delete all the answers that I put and then play this game with your friends, or have a children's birthday party, and older children maybe, or maybe a children's birthday party, but a few little countries, okay, we're going to play a game and the winner gets the prize, and put, China, Japan, put a few countries, maybe not that many. And then they have to guess, or they have to learn. Oh, I get so many spams even on my text now. So filter that. So I was kind of wrong on the Cambodian one. Was I right? So I was wrong on that one. China one, yes, I was right. They use chopsticks mainly. Now Hong Kong is the next one. According to here, it looks like, excuse me, chopsticks are primarily, okay, here's one. A bus on a dusty road. A bus on a dusty road.com. It was all squished together. So I was like, abuse. All right. Okay, now another travel blog. Vietnam has been eating with, for some reason I said Hong Kong, but it took me to Vietnam. According to this travel blogger, Vietnam has been eating with chopsticks for thousands of years, so the Vietnamese prefer to eat with chopsticks. The Vietnamese food is cooked, prepared, and served. Yeah, that's one thing. Not all, even a lot of countries, even Asian, Chinese food, yeah, they use chopsticks for eating, but I don't believe I've ever seen, they may do it, I don't believe I've ever seen them cook with chopsticks. Whereas I've seen Vietnamese people cooking and they cook with the chopsticks. So, but apparently Vietnam is they cook and eat with chopsticks according to this travel blog. As long as it jumped to Vietnam. Why Vietnamese prefer chopsticks? Vietnamese food is cut, prepared, and cooked to be eaten with chopsticks. Most people in Vietnam will put their food in bowls on top of the rice. Put their food in bowls on top of the rice in a bowl. I don't know what she meant by that, but It is considered polite in Vietnam to bring the bowl up towards your mouth as you're eating it. Like in China, you'll find that they eat their food like this. All right. So I'll check one or two more blogs, but it looks like Vietnam is cook, eat, everything chopsticks. But I asked Hong Kong. One size does not fit all. Okay, let's look at this one. Mashable. One size does not fit all. How some Asian cultures use chopsticks differently. Isn't that fascinating? See, I mean, to me it is. I'm an old lady, you know, so maybe like a, you know, sixth grader, they'd be like, oh God, how much longer? I could spend hours now reading all this stuff. So here's a general blog. It's mashable.com. I don't know where the information comes from. It seems to me that it's also maybe by regular people writing through their experience. But yeah, for this kind of thing, I think travel blogs are good sources, or like the, you know, the travel agency blog said, since we are from here, we should know. And it's true. The English wasn't well, you know, it was little mistakes, and you could tell they weren't Native Americans, native English speakers. I keep saying Native American. But to me, I don't care how they speak English. It makes more, it gives me more confidence that they don't speak English well, because they are real people from the real place. So see, you can't even use that, oh, their English isn't even very good, so that's not a good source. On the contrary, they're more informed than any of us. So, okay, no, thanks. I'm good. Okay, so anyway, I'll read a little bit of this. I'm not a good reader, but I like to read the beginnings at least and then skim through. So here we go. If you thought people using chopsticks follow the same protocol in cultures throughout Asia, start taking notes. I have now learned that. I had no idea. For instance, in Japan, people don't stick their chopsticks straight up in a bowl of Japanese oyakodon. In Thai cultures, chopsticks aren't used to poke meatballs. Okay, I think we knew that. Though chopsticks are traditional eating implements in many Asian cultures, the styles and uses of these dining tools are as diverse as the countries themselves. You know, we kind of know this, but we sort of, to me, until recently, yeah, I know that China's different from Japan, and I knew it was different from, you know, other countries in Asia. But for me, they were mainly all, yeah, but they're all kind of the same, you know. And yeah, like I said, racially, they may have a lot of similarities, but they're different cultures, just like, you know, Canada and the US. Okay, we have differences, and, you know, we don't have as much French influence throughout the country as the Canadians do. We have a lot in our New Orleans, you know, Louisiana, and I think there was another, mainly Louisiana is our major French influences here. And actually the Canadians, they're called Cajuns, because the French Canadians would come down to Louisiana. I don't know why. I probably should learn history there too, but there was a link. So they were called Cajuns, like Canadians, but it was pronounced and it got deformed into the word Cajun. So those are the white Louisiana people with the French influences. And then the French influences from the islands into Louisiana were the black people, you know, from the French Francophone black islands, and free people. Many of them were free people. They became enslaved. Many came here free as free black people and became enslaved because they were black and they were captured, and they weren't. Most of them were. We'll get on a whole other thing there. I was going to say most of them were stolen and, you know, brought by force from Africa, but some. Again, I'll have to do more deeper research. But some were free Africans, free. It's originally from Africa, but somehow made it to Louisiana, and they were free, you know, bought their, you know, little lands or whatever, and then, you know, they got, you know, everything that happened. So anyway, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, so there is a link between the Cajun of Louisiana and the French Canadians, and I'll have to look into that at some point, but we're going to go off on another. So if you're interested, you can look it up. So anyway, back to, so apparently Vietnam is yes for everything. So I was right on that one, even though I skipped all the way down. So I'll put yes, I was right there. Because once I find I was wrong, I'm correcting the answer. But I want to remember how many I got right. So where are we? So now we got to do Hong Kong. Do they use chopsticks in Hong Kong? There's a big yes here. Another Mashable one. Okay, I'm back to this article about the one size doesn't fit all, but it's a good article. But it's speaking about many cultures. So chopsticks were invented in ancient China during either the Shang or Xiai dynasties. Though these first utensils were likely used for cooking instead of eating, they became eating instruments during the Han dynasty and were fully integrated into meals during the Ming dynasty. Okay, that will take more in depth, but I'm not going to get into now. So yeah, we know China used them. Since then, chopsticks have evolved into a daily utensil. So they were originally from China, period. They started, supposedly, according to this article, then they evolved. They spread around to different countries, this and that, into a daily utensil used to eat many dishes in cuisines around Asia. However, the culture for using them isn't the same everywhere. There are few universal rules around chopstick culture. There are few, not there are a few. There are few universal Thai village. Oh, so even within the same country, sometimes it's not the same. Likewise, someone raised in an Asian country may have a different experience than someone connected to his or her culture, but raised in the U.S., like the Korean friend. Yeah, at least she was my friend in college. Now she's sort of an acquaintance because we weren't great friends, but you went to college with people, you keep the connections. Yeah, I'm skimming through. So Hong Kong and mainland China, because Hong Kong is China, basically. So I'm going to say that they do. But Sam Cheng, Mashable campaign specialist who was born and spent his childhood in Hong Kong, says it's common to use chopsticks in both Hong Kong and across mainland China for everything from noodles and rice to classic Chinese protein-based dishes. It's common for kids to start using chopsticks from a young age. So do not stick your chopsticks straight up in your bowl because it looks exactly like the way Chinese honor the dead. Okay, all right. I mean, that's all. So Hong Kong, according to this article, is yes. And I'm not going to dispute it too much because it's going to take forever. If I have to check several sources, I'm going to trust this one. So I'm going to say, I said Hong Kong, yes, and I was right about that. So yes, I was right. Next one. And now they're doing Vietnam right underneath, but we already decided Vietnam did. But I like this article because it's hitting all of them. So Vietnam, we already did, but I'll just quick. Food blogger. I'm a terrible reader. Food blogger Ling. Can I make this bigger? Oh, I can make it bigger, so it's a little easier. So food blogger Lin Nguyen of Indichin was raised in northern Vietnam and now lives in coastal Hoi An. She says chopsticks are the gold standard for many noodle and rice soup dishes in Vietnam. Chopsticks allow us to carry out that tradition of sharing in a way that is polite and hygienic. Children usually learn to use chopsticks around kindergarten and first grade. All right, yeah, they use chopsticks. Northern Vietnam, chopsticks are often made from bamboo, some coconut wood. So, okay, Vietnam, we already said was yes, right? Okay, yes. Okay, next they're doing Japan, which we already know is yes, but Japan. Maya Tanaka, Mashable creative director, who is half Japanese, says in Japan, chopsticks are used for everything that isn't hand food, really. Japanese food is often broken up into many small dishes or courses, and everything is usually already cut and portioned. She thinks chopsticks are more useful than some Western utensils. Anyway, it's pretty much accepted by most Americans because we know about China and Japan. I mean, China and Japan are basically the first Asian countries we learn about. So, and I've eaten Chinese, Japanese food, and I know we use chopsticks. So I'm not going to read too much, but in Japanese culture, chopsticks are more than utensils. They can be works of art. And yeah, I mean, it gets really, I could sit here on my own, look at all this stuff for hours, and, but I can't make this such a long video. So, and it's already getting long. So yes, Japan was yes, and I did get that one right. The next one on this article, I think I'm going to just use this article as my source because it sounds good. They're getting it from actual people that are either half or full of the country and raised in the country. So now we're going to do Korea. I hadn't. Oh my God, my mouth is watering. They've got pictures here. Oh my God, that looks so good. Okay. Many Korean, trying to think, actually, I've been to a Korean barbecue now that I recall. In the United States, a Korean restaurant. I believe we use chopsticks. I don't even remember. So let's see. Many Korean chopsticks are flat and made of metal. Annie Park, who's of Korean descent and is mashable. Okay, she's of Korean descent, so she might be an American of Korean ancestry, which still should know something. But I take it more straight from the actual person born or raised or born and raised or half of maybe their parent was. But as you get further on down the line, I trust less and less. I'm sorry. And not that I shouldn't, not that I should or shouldn't, but I feel more confident with the people from the country or first generation to some extent, because I'm a first generation Argentine, and there are a lot of things about Argentine culture that I don't know, particularly in the smaller areas, not in the big cities. I know a lot. I visited, I've lived in Argentina, so I know a lot, but I still wouldn't say I'm the expert. But certainly I'd know more than someone else. All right, many Korean chopsticks and Korean decent and national visual storytellers says chopsticks are used constantly at Korean mealtimes. They are especially in high demand when eating traditional assorted side dishes known as banchan. Several faux pas, including picking up the plate or holding it in your hand, holding chopsticks and spoon in the same hand. Now they talk about the etiquette. Okay, so Korea, yes, both North and South. Obviously, they're the same country, just had disagreements. And that's going to be the U.S. soon. North U.S. It's not going to be North and South, though, because we're scattered around. A lot of people think one way, scattered around, and others think scattered around another way. So I think what it's going to eventually lead to is that we're going to have a war, a civil war, and we're going to have to start pushing people to the parts of the country, so that some stay on one. Sort of like North Korea and South Korea, or East Germany, West Germany, there are people get caught up in the area that they're living that doesn't agree with they agree maybe with the other side, but geographically they happen to be in the area that doesn't think like they do. And so they're either stuck in there and have to become like escape or refugee. So eventually you become two countries. And that's what's going to happen in the US. We're going to eventually become like North and South Korea or East West Germany or Israel, Pakistan. History is history. We want to believe that America is America, but no, America is now my side, which is the American side, and whatever else the other people are doing, I mean, honestly, I'm at a point where I wouldn't mind splitting off. I wouldn't like a war. I'd rather we do it peacefully. But I'm at a point where I have absolutely nothing in common with some of the other side. Some people are more, in the middle. I was in the middle. I kind of said, okay, well, he kind of thinks that way, whatever. But they're becoming violent towards us. And okay, anyway, let's stay off that. Thailand. Thailand, well, they've got chopsticks in the picture. Did we decide Korea? Yeah, Korea, yes. Let me make sure I put it on my list. What did I say about Korea? I said yes. I should just put North and South Korea together because culturally, as far as food, they are alike. But I'm keeping them separate because they're two separate countries. So North Korea, Tan Susum Pao says Western utensils are by far the most common tools. Okay, it was Thailand. Noodles, including noodles in soup, or rice porridge, known as khao tom gui, are foods most likely to be eaten with chopsticks. Okay, so they probably do the thing where you push it onto the... Susum Pao says, though some people eat straight from the chopsticks, most use the chopsticks to pick up ingredients, meat, veggie, noodles, and assemble them on accompanying spoon before taking a bite. Was there another country that did that? If you do have chopsticks on your table, don't bite them or use them as skewers with which to spear meatballs. Okay, no, this is interesting. Okay, fancy artisan chopsticks, blah, blah. So you will have your chopsticks to serve yourself your food onto your spoon or wherever, but you don't put the chopsticks in your mouth. Was this Thailand? And they commonly use fork and... Okay, so I kind of thought it was Thailand. So this one would be in some situations one. So Thailand, I said no, but it's actually, so I was wrong, I guess. Thailand would be in some situations. And it's mainly like in Cambodia. Cambodia, you serve with the fork, but you don't put the fork in your mouth. In Thailand, according to what I think and if you find out something, other information, tell me. In Thailand, you serve with chopsticks and don't put the chopsticks in your mouth. So it's similar to Cambodia in that sense. And then in Cambodia, you only use the chopsticks to push your noodles onto your spoon, but so, okay, so that one is in some situations. So I got that one wrong. Okay, what's the next one? And that's the end of this article. So, but I got a lot of information from that one article. Oh, let me check the chat. Sorry. You use chopsticks a lot to stir deep fried food in a wok. Is that for China? Hainu? Hainainu? Tell me how you pronounce that. I bored you all. Oh, well, maybe someone will watch the rerun. Well, I better go, guys. I'll leave you the link because I think I'm boring people here. I'll leave you the link so that you can see my sheet. I've got to get I still have to get the table of contents done, but I think I'll go over to Twitch now and do that. So here's the link if anybody's watching the rerun, to my Excel sheet where I'm putting in all this information. And then you, of course, feel free to download it, do whatever you want. Spammer. Oh, someone came back. Sorry. This video is getting kind of long, and I feel that I'm boring people because it's gotten so long, and it's just on chopsticks in different countries of Asia, which, we've already been talking an hour because it's so fascinating and so diverse between the Asian countries. We just have this view, Asian people use chopsticks, period. That's all, you have all these different Asian countries. Some don't even use chopsticks or barely use them. So, it's interesting. Okay, if you're going to stay, I'll keep going a little while longer. But if the video is getting long, I doubt anyone's going to watch the whole thing. Maybe they will, but okay, I'll keep going then. Thanks. Yeah, I'd like to keep going if there's interest. If not, I'll just research on my own and have the list. Anyway, there's the link to my spreadsheet if you know how to use Excel. If not, you'll learn to use Excel by using, I believe you have to have a Gmail to see the sheet or something, but you can download it and use it as you like. So, so that's that. But this would be awesome on Twitch because then I could show. I think I'm going to do a little more of this, then I'm going to end this. At an appropriate time, and then I'm going to do the Excel sheet on, with people viewing it, so you could at least see what I'm looking at. Figure out how to do it on YouTube. I've been lazy. I tried it. I couldn't do it quickly, and I just gave up. But there is a way for me to show my screen on live when I'm doing the YouTube. Okay, what's the next one? Malaysia. I had put no. Let me, first I want to make this like that. Okay. So, yeah, I've gotten those. Let's do Malaysia. Do they use chopsticks in Malaysia? And do they use chopsticks in Malaysia? Chopsticks, the latest threat to Malaysian. Chopsticks, the latest threat to Malaysian racial harmony. This is called the full frontal.my. I guess that's from Malaysia. I want to read that. They, the Chinese in Malaysia, preserve their own community, their own customs, their own ways. That's interesting. Before I read anything else, I'm going to read this. It's called the full frontal.my. If you'd like the link to any of these articles, let me know. I'll put them in there if you request them, but I'm not going to. Okay, so the name of this article says, if Mahathir uses chopsticks and forks, does that mean he's no longer Malaysian either? Sourced from the full photo. And there's a picture of a gentleman, I guess he's Mahathir, and he's picking up noodles with chopsticks and kind of like happily holding in the air with noodles. I hope my arm isn't jiggling. I have to try not to use my hands too much to talk. So I'll read the article. So this gentleman uses chopsticks, and it's a scandal. So here's the article. No one can deny that former Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir bin Mohamad has had a major impact on our country's history. Whether you love him or hate him, everyone can acknowledge that without him, Malaysia would look very different today. Unfortunately, as a wise man once said, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And despite his past accomplishments, Mahathir hasn't been a hero for a long, long time. And then of chopsticks and Chinese. Oh, you do? Okay. I am going to do it on Twitch. But see, now it's showing me a 0, and apparently somebody's watching. But my thing shows that 0 people are watching. And that happens on Twitch too. I don't know why. So I say, 0, no one's watching. But anyway, I'll just go ahead and read this. So of chopsticks and Chinese. Now there's a picture of someone using chopsticks with a spoon, like they're saying. And I'm wondering if she's about to put it onto her spoon. We'll see. If you do this, and it says the caption, if you do this, we can't call you Malaysian anymore, apparently. So apparently, if Malaysians use chopsticks, they're not considered Malaysian, which leads me to believe that maybe they don't ordinarily use chopsticks. But anyway, I'll read the article. Then here's a quote. The Chinese in parentheses, their own community, own customs, their own ways. For example, the Chinese eat with chopsticks. They don't eat with their hands. They have not adopted the Malaysians' way of eating food. Retain the chopstick, which is an identity with China, not with Malaysia, and many other things. So apparently that's offensive to the Malaysians, the people who consider, just like Americans, we can be very, but the thing is, America is theoretically based on diversity. So it's not as offensive to us if an American person uses chopsticks. Actually, it's like, oh, this is cool. Look, we can use chopsticks. We invite that. But in other countries where they're mainly, countries of, I don't know what you call them, of their tradition, which many of them end up in America or Canada, or there are parts of the world, straight from the source, keep their identity. In Europe, and they had issues with people using words that weren't really French, and how people from other countries, their word, which was the word champagne for their wine, even within Europe, which you'd think was a little bit more Western minded, some of the countries are very, you don't do that in our country. This is our identity, so apparently in Asia as well. Now, Europe isn't quite as bad as other places, particularly England. They're more, London has a lot of diversity and they're more, but anyway, my point is. So he went on to bemoan the current state of Malaysia's society, giving out examples of Indians and Arabs who had become Malays by sacrificing their former cultures and ethnic identities. So you're allowed to become Malaysian if you do what they decide you do, which is opposed to, so apparently they are inviting or rather welcoming their, of other communities, but they say if you're here, you do it. And to some extent, I do agree with that. You do have to some extent, blend in with the current culture. But, it's almost as if they feel that is what's the word? Oh, there's like contaminating their culture. Cultural pride, there's nothing wrong with it. But when you gotta, kind of work with it. But anyway. See, so he's actually showing, I am losing all my words. He's actually celebrating the Arabs and the Indians of the country India who had become Malays, because he said they dropped their own language. They speak Malay. The Malay customs, names, and all were Malay. They named their children Malay names. But the others, referring to the Chinese, they do not want to identify themselves with the Malays. That's the problem. So yeah, like I said, I agree. When you come to America, you don't, there are certain cultures you do have where you really need to drop, or I believe you should drop. Like in our country, we don't eat dogs. Now, and I'm not saying it's wrong or right or whatever. In our country, we love dogs. We see them as pets for the most part, and we don't kill them for food. They're pets. They're to be saved from the street. They're loving. They're kind. Guess what? Cows are too. And I love all animals. I for a while was trying to be a vegan. I'm not. I'm not even a vegetarian anymore, and I have my own issues with that now too. But my point is, so if you move here from Vietnam, which Vietnam refugees came during the Vietnam War, of course we want to help them. We people all deserve to be free and safe. But the refugees came here, they, get settled, they get a home, whatever. And the neighbors' dogs started disappearing, and I had a lot of humor sort of way. And here was America, the free, the dogs, in small neighborhoods where there weren't a lot of cars, the dogs would run around loose and play around and stuff. And so I guess, a Vietnamese person who was just from Vietnam settled, oh, a dog, running around in my yard. Hey, cool, and ate him. I don't think they did it to be evil, but, there's yum. It's like, oh, poor dog, he must be lost. Or if you don't like dogs, the worst case is, poor dog. Oh, well, he's lost. Here in Florida, they might get eaten by an alligator. I mean, but your first thought isn't, yum, I'm hungry. It'll be awesome tonight, So I'm not judging them, because after all, we kill cows, we kill chickens, and we think nothing of it for most people, and in India, cows are godlike. Cows are the maximum of God, and they even decorate them with, jewelry and things and honor them. And imagine to them, in America, they kill cows and they eat them. To them, it's horrendous. So when, no matter where you live in the world, you do have to kind of adjust to the culture. You can bring parts of your culture, of course, and that's wonderful. That's why we have Mexican food here. And whether you like Mexican illegals or not, you can't deny that the food is one of the most delicious cuisines in the world. Said what he did, that prime minister. Whatever his original intentions were, Mahathir probably wasn't expecting his speech to go viral so quickly. I wonder when he made that speech. Within hours, hundreds of